I love history. Knowing your past helps prevent bad things from happening again, among other things. There was a time in American history when Filipinos were discriminated against. The Filipinos were not allowed to marry white women or become citizens of the United States. The relationship between the Philippines and the United States has been a long and complicated one. The Philippines was a colony of the United States from 1898 to 1946, a period of nearly 50 years. During this time, Filipinos were subject to a number of discriminatory policies and were not considered equal to American citizens. In this report, we will discuss the history of Filipinos in the United States and the reasons why they were not considered citizens for a significant period of time. History of Filipinos in the United States. The first Filipinos to arrive in the United States were sailors who came to California in the 16th century. However, it was not until the late 1800s that significant numbers of Filipinos began arriving in the United States. This was due to the fact that the Philippines was a colony of Spain until 1898, when the United States took control of the islands as part of the Treaty of Paris that ended the Spanish-American War. Initially, Filipinos were welcomed in the United States as part of the labor force, particularly in the agricultural industry in California and Hawaii. However, as the number of Filipinos in the United States grew, so did discrimination against them. They were subjected to racist attitudes and discriminatory laws and policies that made it difficult for them to integrate into American society. The Philippine Islands were granted independence in 1946 and Filipino immigration to the United States continued. Today, Filipinos are one of the largest Asian American groups in the United States, with over 4 million Filipino-Americans living in the country. Why Filipinos were not considered U.S. citizens? Filipinos were not considered U.S. citizens for a significant period of time due to a number of discriminatory policies and laws. Here are a few examples. The Philippine Organic Act of 1902. This act established the colonial government of the Philippines and declared that Filipinos were not U.S. citizens. Instead, they were considered nationals of the Philippine Islands, a status that did not grant them the same rights and privileges as American citizens. The Tidings-McDuffie Act of 1934. This act provided for the independence of the Philippines in 1946 and set up a 10-year transition period during which Filipinos in the United States were classified as aliens, ineligible for citizenship. This meant that they could not become U.S. citizens even if they were born in the United States. The Cable Act of 1922. This act stripped citizenship from any American woman who married a non-citizen, including Filipino men. This meant that even if a Filipino man married an American woman, he would still not be able to gain citizenship through marriage. Impact on Filipinos. The fact that Filipinos were not considered U.S. citizens had a significant impact on their lives. They were subject to discrimination and segregation in many areas of American life, including housing, employment, and education. They were often denied access to the same opportunities as American citizens and were treated as second-class citizens. For example, Filipinos were not allowed to marry white women in many states, and they were often segregated in schools and neighborhoods. They were also subject to discriminatory labor laws and were often paid less than their American counterparts for the same work. In conclusion, Filipinos were not considered U.S. citizens for a significant period of time due to discriminatory policies and laws. This had a significant impact on their lives and made it difficult for them to integrate into American society. While the Philippines gained independence in 1946, discrimination against Filipinos in the United States continued for many years. Today, Filipinos are an important part of the fabric of American society, and their contributions to the country should be celebrated and honored. I hope you learned something new from this video. I will be making more videos on Filipino-American history in the United States. If you believe that this video will aid our kababayans in understanding our history, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you and see you in our next video.